Abroad, the founder and the CEO of Zoom Abroad. Like a session that we already always have every Tuesdays and Fridays about helping international students to make certain decisions that is normally quite difficult to make. All right, and one of those decisions that we are going to talk about it. Can we travel to UK in this COVID situation? A lot of parents are worried and a lot of students are worried. So we are going to dig into the details of what the UK universities. Okay, so a lot of universities and the government is helping. So I have today with me Ritvik Shyam from Bangalore, who's studying his master's in electronics and telecommunication at Imperial College London. So stay tuned, you would get the real-time first-hand information from an Indian student studying in the UK in one of the premium institutes. And we would learn a lot about his own experience. Okay, first let me dig into what is happening here. All right, so let me start by sharing a screen. Yes. Okay. So yes. So is UK is safe to travel in the COVID situation for international student? The main pointers that before I get into it, it's a disclaimer that this topic is continuously improvising and changing topic. You know, we do not know how the COVID is acting, so that we do not know what to expect in this scenario, right? For that reason, there is a disclaimer that the information that we would share today might not be relevant in a couple of weeks or days time. So keep checking the most updated information on zoomabroad.com or on the government official websites. We would let you know. All right, so we know that you are excited to come to UK and we know that you are confused at the same time, all right? But we need to first find out how is the situation in the UK as compared to India. So this graph is quite clear to say that in April, UK faced the peak of new cases generating on a daily change, all right? And it eventually went down. But then in 7th of August onwards, you see a small upward trend again. We do not know if it is momentarily or if it is going to be, going to go back up again. We do not know, and we hope not. Okay, but then on the right-hand side, you would see that the university the Indian COVID situation is not yet onto the peak. We do not know how far it is going, and this is the data from this morning. No, yesterday, sorry. So this is the data from yesterday. So you could see that more likely the UK cases are declining, not more likely, the data is evident, and the Indian cases are increasing. So if I have to put it practically, you're more safer in UK as compared to in India at this point of time, at least. All right. And that is my personal opinion. But then in the moving slides, you would see how to make that decision more basis the data. All right. Let's again see where does the UK vaccine status starts at the moment. All right. As of 14th of August, UK has secured an order of 340 million doses of the vaccination. All right. And out of all the myths and the prediction that, okay, Russia has got a vaccine, or the US has got a vaccine, or Germany has got a vaccine, UK has very wisely placed a bet in all the major development. All right. So not to get into the science here, the adenovirus vaccine, which is developed by Oxford and produced by AstraZeneca, it is in the phase 3. It is the most advanced level of testing at the moment. All right. And we are hoping to get some positive results. Has it got very promising results on human trial as well? So we already have UK has 100 million doses from Oxford and 30 million from Janssen at the first instance. And the second, a different type of vaccination. So a little bit of detail in the adenovirus vaccination, the hope is it is restricting the T cells. It is helping the T cells to generate that kind of responses, and it is a long lasting. That's what the study says. But there are different approaches. So mRNA vaccine, 30 million doses with Pfizer's and BioNTech, and the same way 60 million with Valneva. Okay. And another 60 million with GSK. Today, 3 hours ago, there was a new decision that has been made that 60 million doses from a Novavax and Janssen collaboration vaccine has been played. It means the UK is doing everything in its power to secure the latest vaccination possible. So I think many countries are not even going into that details, but then this is what we can talk about UK for now. All right. Coming to the universities, what are the major challenges that universities are facing at this point of time? Is one is safety, right? The safety of the staff, safety of the students. How do we make sure as a university that the students are safe and the parents feel safe about sending them? So they're taking all the measures that we would learn in the future slide. The second is the quality, all right? All of a sudden, the face-to-face interaction has gone, okay, has smoked away. It means the quality of education to be transferred into an online method. How well can you adapt and how well can you translate that quality? How can you keep the students engaged? Because we all know we students are the naughtiest one. I'm not the student anymore, but then all the students are known to be the naughtiest one. Getting your attention is the major challenge for the university. So how to keep you engaged? So they are working new technologies, new methodologies to keep you engaged and deliver the quality education that they are known for. All right. So just a quick update that 4 out of top 10 universities in the world is UK based. All right. And 18 out of top 100 universities in the world is UK based. All right. So the quality of education in the UK is not questionable. All right. It is great. It's just that how do we translate that into online? All right. Now the sustainability, because of course the university as a business, if you look at it, rely on the students coming over. If the student do not come over, they do not get the fees. It is a troublesome problem. But then the good point about UK universities are most of the UK universities are public universities and supported by government. So you might have heard about that. Universities filing for bankruptcy, financial trouble. So do not worry about it. Yes, it is not a great situation to be, but then the UK government is in support of the university. So these are public bodies. They would get all the financial help from the government. So we don't need to worry about that. All right. Let's see how the UK universities are planning for the September intake pre-arrival. So most of the students, those who are in India or Africa or China, wherever you're going to see this video from, you are in the pre-arrival stage, and we will be talking about the post-arrival stage. So in the pre-arrival stage, almost all the university that I know, and we work with a lot of universities here, they are offering the financial flexibility. All right. If you are applying for September intake, you don't feel confident about September, you can defer to January. You can start online courses. You can ask for a full refund without any deduction. You can delay. You can pay in small installments. So these are the financial flexibility that the universities are currently offering. And how you should know about this flexibility: read your offer, read your contract very carefully. All right. And especially on the refund policy terms. All right. So that is very important. The deadlines are moved in many cases. Okay. September intake is not a September intake anymore. All right. Most of the universities are taking in October, in November, and delayed intakes. Many universities are introducing new intakes. All right. So not only January and September, they could be May and November, and so many new intakes to become. All right. Flexible English assessment. All right. Previously, only few IELTS, TOEFL, PTE were accepted. Today, universities have the ability to assess the students' English over an interview or over an online test designed by themselves. So there's two important outcome of this. That is, it's free and it is immediate. All right. Most of the cases it is free. I should not generalize there. All right. The universities are also giving this expectation to, opportunity for you to start the core classes online without any impact on your PSW visa status. So if you are in in India or elsewhere outside UK, and you have an offer to start your classes in your home country online, my personal suggestion is please do it. All right. One thing is that you would be saving on your living expenses cost. Of course, you would be missing out on some fun in UK, but then there is not much fun here anyways in lockdown. All right. So you could not do much anyway. So start your courses online if you prefer to. A lot of Indian students that I'm speaking to, they do not want to pay the fee for online courses. But look at it that way, that if you start your courses online now, you would be ahead of the game. You would not be lagging behind of the classes. And the second, you would have a better chances of the visa because you have already started the classes. All right. Many universities are offering scholarships and many offers to join in, all right, in the online classes and in the September intake. So this is the pre-arrival one. Let's see what on the post-arrival. there is a big campaign with all the universities that is started, that We Are Together campaign. So if you're on a Twitter, Facebook, just hashtag We Are Together, and you would see the various things that universities and the support group, including the students and the government, is doing to make sure the students and the parents feel safe during this COVID cycle. 96% of the UK universities, due to the latest survey, is offering hybrid or the blended learning, which means some part of the course would be online and some part of the course would be face-to-face. So you would still get that exposure of face-to-face learning and interacting with your colleagues and the only thing it would be different, it would be, you would be sitting far away from each other. You would be maintaining social distancing. You would be sanitizing every now and then. So those facilities and arrangements, according to the government guidelines, have been made, like social distancing, sanitizing, covering your mask, hygiene stations and barriers, and so on and so forth. There are special arrangements in the international office to look after your mental and emotional level, so you're not alone. Yes, you are alone physically, but then there is a lot of support available in UK. And another organization which I very greatly admire and Ritvik come from is an INSA, that is a international student support organization for Indian students. So organizations like that as well do provide a lot of information and support if you are in the UK during this time, and I think they are oversubscribed now. Great job, INSA, by the way. Small class sizes, very obvious. Arrangement in the accommodation, the student accommodation, labs, classroom, libraries. So there are different arrangements, who could enter, how and when, the limited number of people can enter. Same like in supermarkets, that you would have a long line of people queuing up. Okay, they would also support late arrivals because of the situation, not intentionally, but if you are in a situation where you cannot arrive in time, the universities would accept it as an exception. Not all generally, but you would need to speak to your university on that basis. Of course, online teaching support. As it is difficult for the universities to teach them online, it is difficult for the students to learn online. All right. So as much as supports that you want, most of the universities are open to provide that. All right. Let's see how the government is supporting us, right, in terms of immigrations and visas. So previously, before COVID, if you have studied online or distance learning, your Tier 4 guideline would not allow you to count towards your PSW, or you would not be allowed to do that being in the UK. You would have to have face-to-face. But then the government has made the flexibility, and there is a big, full guidance about the Tier 4 guidance. Please do read it if you have time on that, or reach out to zoomabroad.com. We would be happy to help you out in any specific questions. Concession extending the visa expiring before 31st of August. All right. So any visas that was expiring before 31st of August. First of all, there was a mandatory or the without restriction extension was given up until 31st of July. But then from 31st of July to 31st of August, 1 month of grace is been given. All right. Previously, if you were in the UK, you could not extend your visa over 28 days if your course start date is over and above 28 days. Now, even if your course start date is over and above 28 days, within 31st of December, you can still extend your visa. So there is a lot of technicalities rather than getting into, but then there is a relaxation on visas and exams or assessment that you are going into. The student can come before 31st of July on short courses and switch to Tier 4, which is the normal student route. All right. There is alternative English assessment, as I mentioned. You would get all the support from NHS. NHS has done a great job in UK. First of all, it is free, and the second is we have a great infrastructure, medical equipment, support services, so that you could work. And any job the student is working in NHS, that could be as a physiotherapist, nurse, there is no 20 hours working restrictions onto that, because it is the requirement of the time and they need support services for the NHS. Okay, and under the new student route, there would not be any time limit for the postgraduate level. Previously, you could only study 3 years in postgraduate level, but the new student route is coming very soon. All right, free extension on 31st July, which we already spoke about. And your visa expires between 24th of January to 31st of August. You can apply for exceptional indemnity. There is an online application. You can apply to extend your visa if your visa is expiring during that time. And if your visa expires after August 2020, and you cannot travel to your home country, you can still apply to the home office with the name urgent reasons, and you would need to define that. All right. I'm not going to bore you much with the technical stuff, but then I would tell you what to consider before you travel. You would need to take 14 days quarantine. At the moment, for India, is not in the travel corridor. It is outside the travel corridor for the obvious reasons of the increasing hype of COVID new cases. So you would, once you land here, you would have to quarantine yourself for 14 days. You would have to give the correct contact details, address, for the track and trace for NHS in case they would need to track you if you came up with some problems or symptoms. Accommodation arrangement, that you have to make sure that you pre-book your accommodation before you come. Don't do that. Wahan jaake dekh lenge. All right, that would not work. Right? Okay. There would be compulsory face covering. No excuses. It is law by the now at the moment in public places. You would have to cover your face. You would have to pay health surcharge, of course, which is increasing from 10th of October, by the way, from £300 to £470. So if you are coming in September intake, you are saving that extra £180 or so. You may be required to produce negative COVID risk test report. As of now, it is not applicable, but then looking at the growth in Indian COVID cases, there are other countries where the UK is asking to bring negative COVID-19 certificate before you enter. All right. And one of the biggest advice, many international students, they think that they would come to UK and by doing part-time jobs, they could support their living. In normal cases, maybe yes, but in this case, you would not, because there's not lot many jobs. Okay, there is redundancies, and a lot of shops are still yet to open. A lot are open, but they're still yet to open. So do not rely completely on part-time jobs for your finances. Be prepared. All right. So there are some sources that you can look into. Of course, zoomabroad.com. If you have any questions, you can register on zoomabroad.com and ask us any question. We will. There is a chat box in our website, and you can ask any question. If we do not know the right information, then and there we will email you back with the right links. And the right information for you. And a second point of contact, of course, should be your university international team. Ask them as many questions. And these are the links of some of the government website that you should refer for the genuine and the direct advice. All right. We will be posting these links on under the comment box after this live session, and we will take it from you. This is Abhishek Nakhate. These are my LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn or Twitter. Or wherever you feel that you want to connect. I would be more than happy to help you out. All right. Without further delay, I would invite Ritvik in this talk and ask Ritvik some important questions that some of the students may want to ask. Unfortunately, because we are doing this YouTube live, I do not have a lot of questions from the students, but then let me be their representative here. All right. So Ritvik, welcome to this talk.
Yes, thank you so much, Abhishek. Pleasure to be here. As you know, just for the background, I'm Ritvik Shyam, and I'm on an integrated master's course of electronic and information engineering at Imperial College London. So this is a combination of undergrad and master's in the same course. So finished first year, and now I'm entering second. So hopefully I'll be able to answer your questions satisfactorily.
Yeah, sure. So, Ritvik, the basic question here is, how do you feel? How things have changed in this COVID situation? How is it different? How is it different than the normal COVID, normal scenario before that you had, before March, I should say? How is it different? What is your experience?
Yeah, with regards to the academic sort of impact, I think it's been pretty tremendous, because the whole interaction between the teacher and the student, that whole relationship seems to have taken a big fall. Nevertheless, my university has taken great efforts to establish connection through teams and through other means where people are always there to help me out, but it doesn't feel the same, obviously, because you can't ask a question straight off when you want to. You can't approach the lab as in when you want to try out something. And as you said, online learning is a challenge for both teachers and students. It's not necessarily the most interactive and profound way of learning.
Of course, because the COVID has changed the education system completely now. But the
Yeah.
important question, especially in this webinar topic, is: do you feel safe?
Um, to be very honest with you, I would say it's very uncertain, and I don't really know whether I'm safe or not, because this whole the cases around me are always rising, and in terms of my personal safety, it's obviously a question. But do I feel safe in terms of my future for university? Maybe at the moment, I would say that's looking pretty certain, because the way the university has been dealing with providing information, keeping us up to date with everything. So that way, I'm a little convinced about my future studies, and how my academic growth is going to happen. But on a personal level, maybe not so safe at the moment, because
And
there's
I
a lot
think
of
that is only fair. It is only fair. We
yeah,
cannot expect a 22, 23-year old to be not nervous in this situation. Okay, I'm
exactly.
34, 35, and I am nervous with my kids and everyone, and everybody else, scientists, doctors, everybody is nervous. So being nervous and being not sure is, of course, common. But then that good thing about what you said is that you feel confident and convinced about what university is doing as in measures,
Yeah.
to make you feel safe and the prospects going forward. So extending to that question, what is Imperial doing to make you feel safe in that scenario?
So, firstly, Imperial has, from the very beginning, they give us weekly updates of what they're doing in terms of various aspects. So, the infrastructure side of things, how are they ensuring that our labs, our classrooms, or any accommodation is being sanitized, all the health and safety requirements that
Hmm.
are being taken. Adding on to that, the updates on the styles of teaching. I mean, we have been receiving updates on how each professor is potentially going to teach us. So we have a lot of transparency in that we're learning of how each module is being taught for the upcoming year. So there's a lot of information flow between the student and the university, and especially in terms of the flexibility which my college is offering. Like you said, they're very flexible, and they're not really putting pressure on us to come back. But at the same time, they're also saying that if you choose to come back, then they'll provide us with a safety kit. So every student will get a safety kit which has all
Amazing.
these health and safety things. And like you said, there's a lot of support, health, mental, all kinds of support, and they're all operational regardless of whether it's remote or face to face.
Sure, sure. How are you?
Yeah.
So this is some personal, you don't have to answer it, but how's your parents feeling today? Like, because of course you're on your all by yourself. You have been in UK less than a year now, or approximately a year
Yeah.
now. Yeah. So how are they feeling now?
So they thought it would be a long stay. I would not come here for a year, but turns out that by March I'm back here, and nobody predicted that I would be staying here for this long, and I think they're in a way relieved, because
Okay,
some of my friends, in fact, are in the UK, and they're finding it really hard to be away from the family. So
of
the
course.
fact that I came back in time before all these restrictions and lockdowns were starting to happen. So the fact that I came back early was a huge relief for them, and they're also very concerned about safety, and they're also pretty supportive in that they don't mind if I study online or remote. It's not like a thing that they're forcing me to do something. So I think we're all in a very open mind at this stage, that
Right.
let's see what happens as the
Let's see
time
what
comes.
happens. Of course, we all are
Yeah.
learning. We do not know what to expect. So, what has been your biggest challenge, Ritvik, so far in this since March till August that we are in? So, with COVID, what has been your biggest challenge?
Uh, for me, the biggest challenge was, in fact, the fact that my exams were moved to be online, to be remote, and that was something which is unprecedented, at least in my experience. That
Yeah,
how are you going to administer remote exams? So that was a huge challenge, because those were the final exams
that was
of
good for
the
you, isn't it?
first.
In a way,
Yeah,
firstly.
it was a very unique experience, and it wasn't exactly an online one either. We had to scan our answers in, and there was a time period we had to upload our answers in. So it was not exactly a sort of an online quiz kind of format. It was
Okay.
a real exam, but it's just that they incorporated a more like time restrictions, and
Mm.
password protected documents, and it was a very unique thing. It was quite exciting in the beginning, actually. And
Amazing,
I
amazing.
think that was a challenge in itself, because obviously it's not the same as sitting in an exam hall, and giving an exam. But yeah, nevertheless, I've learned a lot from that experience, definitely.
Of course, of course. These are the situations that we would hopefully never ever get in our life again. But then these
Yeah.
are the things that we are learning. What else can we do? We are innovating as companies, universities, and students. So, what do you miss most about the previous pre-COVID life and this life? What do you miss most?
The socializing, the going out, simple things like eating at a restaurant and going out. I mean, now they seem like huge things, but back then, it was such a common thing. It wasn't even a privilege of some sort. It was
Of course, yeah.
just a normal thing, going out with friends and eating. And now I haven't really gone out for about few months now. In fact, I haven't, eaten at a restaurant, for example. So I think the whole social life has taken a huge hit, in my opinion.
Of course,
Yeah,
of
I'm
course.
interacting with Zoom, WhatsApp, but it's not the same, obviously.
It's not the same, of course. But
Yeah,
then the government has allowed people, and in fact motivated people to eat out and save out, something like that, right? So
yeah.
how is the student community reacting to it? They are still going out and eating, or they were like, okay, no, I don't want to risk it yet.
Um, well, whether fortunately or unfortunately, a large section of my friends circle have been going out. I think it's more to do with maybe their sort of for whatever their family practices, for example. Because I know that some of my friends, along with families, are actually going out,
Mm,
are
mm.
going to each other's homes for parties and social gatherings. So I have seen many instances of people going out to eat and going out in general. So in my case, it's a slightly different issue because not only are my parents a little strict about this, but they're also worried that what if they get the infection? Maybe I have a strong immunity, but you can never rely on
You
COVID
you could be a
being
carrier
an
and you
adult.
could be spreading.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. That is the
exactly.
most sensible way of thinking. Yes.
Yeah,
But then see, important part is, of course, these are the things that we miss as a student, like, oh, ye hota to acha hota, and then
uh,
going out was fun and friends and hang out and stuff like that. But the
yeah,
main purpose of you coming to UK, the one purpose was academics, right? Education
yes.
and learning. Is there any impact on education and learning?
Yeah, so the biggest impact I would say is definitely the seriousness and attention, as you talked about. I think I was relatively a very attentive child. I made sure I attended every lecture and every class and everything. But now, even though I want to, keep learning, I want to keep attending. There's always this motivation factor, I would say, which sort of diminishes because of online learning. So, in terms of the actual engagement with my learning, I think that's taken an impact. But like you said, it's also taught me new things on how I need to organize myself better and how I
Of
need to
course.
adapt myself to this new way. Being
Mm.
more comfortable with online platforms and learning online, like as I've been doing for the past few weeks. Yeah.
Sure.
So
So that's a very interesting thing that you experience, that learning or the attentiveness has decreased. But what have you done
yeah.
to basically correct it or rectify it? How did you? Is there anything that you did or made yourself do?
I tried with a simple thing of creating a sort of a checklist for a day and really trying to ensure that I get things done for that day. So for
Amazing.
me, the biggest sort of incentive is when I tick off what I've done. It that's sort of my motivation to say, okay, I need to spend this day wisely so I can get to the things I like doing. For example, watching TV or socializing, talking to my friends. So I use that as sort of a thing that if you do this, only then will you get to do this. So it's like sort of a mini reward system. I think that's helped me a bit so far in getting me
That's
organized.
a very strong example of self motivation, guys, and I think any successful person requires that. It is very unusual to see that in a young kid, but then it is not uncommon, I should say. Okay, so if you basically and very rightly said, Ritvik, that COVID has made us more disciplined in a way. The things that we took it
Yeah,
for granted, we never took notice of. We started looking onto those things. We run by calendar because the meetings
yeah,
are booked by minutes and hours and so on and so forth. So it is easy to do, and the simple way, as you said, is your task list, and ticking off is a reward. Then you can watch TV or cook or
yeah.
whatever you want to do. Okay, that is simply amazing. One thing that I always so I left university in 2007, so long time ago, 2006 and 7. But how is it now? If you are living in a student accommodation and you're trying to protect yourself, but the others are not, which may impact
Yeah.
you. How are you dealing with that situation? First of all, what kind of setup do you live in?
So before the COVID pandemic, I was in a student accommodation from Imperial. It was a hall, but now that I'm back with my parents, that's not an issue. But I think what the main issue of contact was, the main center of contact was the kitchens, in fact, because most
Yes,
rooms were
kitchen,
single
toilets.
recipient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was in the early days of COVID, I remember, I think this was late February, early March, when
Mm,
people were just thinking it's a flu and, it sort of
yeah,
will
yeah,
vanish within like 10, 20 days, right? I think people were just saying, oh, nothing will happen. And people were taking it too lightly. I actually didn't see anyone wearing masks, including myself,
yeah.
at least for the first 2 weeks of hearing the news
Mm,
about COVID cases in UK, for example. So now I'm not exactly sure how it's changed, but I've the daily updates, they tell me that they've made it compulsory across the hostels, all the accommodation, that every time a student goes out, he has to have a protective mask. And even visitors are restricted. They have to book an appointment. For
mm,
example, I had left some of my belongings. I couldn't pack everything back, right? So
yeah.
my uncle had gone to receive some of my belongings, and in fact, there was a booking system where they couldn't allow more than a certain people to enter. So I think they're doing it very rigidly, and obviously taking safety into consideration. Now everyone's a lot more aware and careful than they were in the early
That's
days.
right. That's right. So these are the small things that normally we don't take notice of, and that has changed now.
Yeah,
So now you are in a private accommodation, so of course quite safe and secluded. All right.
yeah.
But many students, if you have friends who are still living in the halls, how do they feel?
Yeah, I think they're feeling really, it's a bit isolated, because most of their friends have either gone back to their homes in the UK or have gone back abroad, wherever they live. But
Hmm,
I think even day-to-day activities, most of them wouldn't spend their days in the hall, even on a normal day. So
of course.
for them staying in the room, it's almost like there's this
Jail.
whole anxiety, yeah, this
Of
whole
course.
feeling of being left out and missing out from the world. So
Hmm,
yeah, I do know a couple of people who had tough times, and because of that, I think they did uh, try and go out for at least like grocery shopping. I think that's the least they could go out to do.
hmm,
But I think now things are a lot better. Even the
of
ones
course.
who are in
Hmm,
accommodation, some they're getting out for small trips, day trips with the friends. And
yeah.
I think it's a very common trend nowadays in the UK that people are just going for sort of local tourism,
Local a day and come
going
back.
around.
So I'll tell you
Yeah,
what we do at my home. Of course,
yeah,
in the March, April, June, July, I think all July we stayed home. Pretty much half of the July up until March. We didn't go out, but then now since there was a relaxation, there was a numbers dropping down, the sign of positivity there. We started going to the walks in the
mhm,
woods. All right, walks in a jungle, and so there you do not see anyone and you're still safe, but you're still active, you're doing something. And the another thing that I was speaking to another student here, I found that attending various events kept them engaged. All right, because you normally do not meet so many people in normal life. You'll have to go somewhere far to meet new people. But then the events like this that we are having today, there are many events we do. So like, for example, we do every Tuesdays and Fridays, 11 o'clock UK time and 3:30 Indian time, what it is. We do these events, we talk about certain things. So you get to learn something, and then you can connect, you can do various stuff, and there are so many other meetups and stuff that happen. So
yeah.
that is helpful in some manner, maybe not fully, of course. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything else that you want to add? Any
No, yeah,
advice,
I
any
think,
tips?
like you said, INSA, the Indian National Students Association, they've been following a very similar approach. I think we've organized many such events, and like you said, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, we're always there to interact with the students and address their concerns. So, like you said, these events have really helped, and you know, so many societies, whether it's Imperial or other universities, are reaching out. They're creating these talks. Now it's a lot more easier to contact people for any webinars and
Mhm.
talks, and it's so much easier to organize an event per se, so a virtual event. So I think keeping occupied. And I think the other thing I wanted to add, maybe a little unpopular with this generation, but I think having a certain spiritual or faith-based connect is also very important, and I think at this path, because
Definitely.
if you need something to keep yourself sane and you need something to hold on to, I think for me it's also helped in terms of whether it's prayers or you know um, readings,
Meditation,
such
yoga,
certain,
whatever.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So all these things which are so native to us as Indians, I think that should really also be a sort of guiding stone for us and help us come out of this as soon as
No,
hopefully very
very, very
soon.
good point,
Yeah,
Ritvik. I really
yeah,
think that irrespective of what religion or faith that you come from, you
yeah,
need to cling on to something which gives you hope, which gives you power
yeah,
and support. We humans are, of course, weak mentally some or the other time, and especially in this COVID situation where we do not know which way we are heading. All right.
yeah,
So it is great talking to you, Ritvik. You have been doing the right things in this such situation, and purely a good example for many students, those who are coming to UK. So guys, thank you very much for listening, and thank you, Ritvik, for joining in. Again, if you have any concerns, any questions that you want to ask us, Zoom Abroad provides a free platform for any international students, no charges whatsoever, for you to even search different university, compare different universities, their lifestyle, their student life, what it is, and so on and so forth. Register yourself, see, you can connect with different students, connect with mentors, and connect with me if you have any question. So thank you very much. We shall see you all again on Tuesday. We would be talking about engineering and technology in the UK and its scope. So studying engineering and technology in the UK and its scope. And we would be joined by De Montfort University staff, and also a few examples and inspirations from the society. All right. Thank you very much. Stay tuned and take care. Be safe.